Joining us right now on the phone is the man who exposed the Bigfoot hoax, Steve Kulls, private investigator and executive director at SquatchDetective.com.
The numbers of sightings, even if you take 99% of them and put them in the trash can, you turn around, you still have that 1% that can't be explained. Well, we need to explain it.
And then this thing walks across the road, makes a turn towards us.
All I can remember is flipping the light on, and I see this creature.
Went to look forward, and there was a big black thing, is all I can call it.
The whole time, the whole thing was shadowing us, right behind us, right on the side of us.
I still see that damn thing to this day. It wasn't 20 feet from me.
You could see it standing from the moonlight in the tree line.
I was just scanning right to left, and it reminded me of like a gorilla.
Get somebody out here. Son of a bitch is about 6'9", I don't know.
Welcome to Squatch-D TV, exploring the Bigfoot mystery each week with your hosts, veteran researcher, author, and TV personality, the Squatch Detective, Steve Kulls, and from the Bigfoot Research Project of Kentucky, Chris Bennett. Sit back and buckle up as we bring you guests from around North America discussing the Bigfoot phenomena, but not without a few laughs too. Here are your hosts, Steve and Chris.
And good evening, cyberspace. Welcome to Squatch-D TV for today's date, April 2nd, 2023. I'm your host, your guide, the Squatch Detective, Steve Kulls. Well, if you notice, we don't have Chris Bennett with us tonight because Chris is recuperating. He's got a little bit of back problems, so our prayers and our best wishes are going out to him. I know he's probably sitting there watching the show tonight. So, but we have a guest co-host tonight, and it's a good friend of mine, and it's been a while since he's been on the show anyway. And let's bring Mr. Jeff in. How are you doing tonight, Jeff?
Greetings, everyone. Greetings, planet Earth, and greetings, Mr. Kulls. Nice to see you again.
Good to see you as well. And, of course, our guest for tonight will be the one, the only, Mr. Jay Bachochin. Hello, Jay.
Hey, how you doing, Steve? How you doing, Jeff? We got to stop meeting like this, Steve.
We do. You know, every time you go out there now lately, something strange has been happening to you. But we'll get into that.
Absolutely.
So anyway, as we always do, we do the evening roll call to see who is in here. Let's see. First one in was, of course, Nick Siphon, and Nick is in. Jay made a comment earlier. And Chris. Daniel Weeks. Hello, Daniel. Uncle Bones 2. B. Lynn. Joe Dryden. The Tall Ones. Brent. What's going on? Reverend Wade Wood. Hello, Reverend. The Bigfoot influencers, Tim Halloran. Tim, good to see you.
Tim.
Who else? We got Diane Trick and Charlie Wanton.
All right.
And Chance Lambert. Helton, a.k.a. Faster Man. And Helton is really excited about going back to the kettle. Eyes in the Woods. Hello, Don Fuller. Norma, Girly Bigfooter. Hello, Grasshopper. Good to see you. Arthur Watch. Good to see you as well. Brian and Chewy go hiking. Cheers. And who else? Anybody else? Do we miss Angel Nolan? I see Angel. Hello. Welcome again, Angel. Kaiju Ninja 1985. Of course, John Ayers as well. John Bush. Gary Johnson Sr. Hello, sir. and I think we got just about everybody. We shall see if anybody pops in a little bit, which I'm sure they are going to. Hello and welcome. So now that we got the roll call out of the way, Jeff, what's new before we get over to Jay and his exciting stuff? What's new with you?
You know what's new with me, Steve. I went and found some minor internet celebrity here like in February. I started making reels just to get my editing chops back up, and just sat in front of a camera and started speaking whatever truth came out of my mouth, and they just took off. But you know, when I talk about it, it's not necessarily they have an A, B, C, and D list celebrity. I'm Z list celebrity. I'm way down at the bottom. So I mean, and in the one place I've found that nobody knows me is my own hometown. Nobody follows me here, but I get followed in New Zealand and the UK and India and Germany, and I get messages from all kind of people just for making 60-second videos where I try to make you chuckle once or twice.
I know, and some of them are really entertaining. I got to admit, like, you know, when your girlfriend and you argue, it's not about why are Gen Xers always pissed off.
Yep, exactly right. Yeah, nobody seems to understand that we didn't have helicopter parents. We had no parents. The only time you saw your parents is when the street light came on and your butt better have been home.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't have video games. We had rocks and sticks.
We had 4 TV channels.
And some of us even had to go up to the TV and change the dial.
Change the channel manually. We had playground equipment that was literally designed to kill you.
Right.
Wait a minute. Sometimes you'd have to grab those rabbit ears too and change them a little bit.
You know you're a true Gen Xer if you had a smaller TV with rabbit ears and aluminum foil on top of a giant floor model TV that was broken.
Yep.
Right. Or had the built-in record player. Yes. And it was made, it had more wood in it than this desk I'm sitting in front of now.
And weighed 3 metric tons. I can still hear that thing turning on. You turn the knob and it said, "Doom."
Yeah. If it broke down, you called the repairer and he came in, opened up the back of it. Oh, bad tube.
or when it turned off, it would be like poof, and then just disappear. The tubes
into a tiny little dot.
And the first cable boxes, remember the cable remotes? They were stringed.
Yes.
And you had to
bring it. It was like this, you know.
Or you're trying to get it under the carpet.
Yep. Like, it was like a 30 foot long cable that would hook up to your TV.
Yeah. And then you had to move the dial a little bit to get it into focus a bit better. It wasn't so snowy.
And then we transitioned from all that to this, to literally this. And we survived through all of it and had to learn every last bit of it. We weren't born into this. We had to go through it gradually.
Yep. Remember the first, I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember the first digital watches.
Oh, yeah.
With a calculator.
Not even with a calculator.
I remember like red digital. It was like a red.
Right.
Digital,
it was just, it's actually like my smartwatch, except for my smartwatch turns off, but it was like this, and you'd have to push the button that time and go bleep. And that was it.
That was the coolest thing too when that came out.
That was. Yeah. And the football game, all that was a little light you can move around.
I had them all.
Oh yeah, Steve, hang on.
Sure.
He's got
something.
Oh, Coleco.
There it is. The football game. Yep.
Yes. Do you remember this?
If you think for a second, I don't have one of those, and it probably still works.
You score a touchdown on that. I still remember the 8-bit tune that went on. That was great.
Oh, goodness gracious. Those were the days.
Oh, they were. Sad days gone.
They were fun days. We were out, and Jeff is so right. We were outside.
I was going to do a reel about that next, about bicycles and how that was the most dangerous toy we ever got, because more than just building a ramp, we got on our bikes and we rode as far away from our home as we possibly could.
Right.
And got back in time before the street light came on. But it was a challenge to get to a county line or a state line or an international border in Steve's case, and still get back home in time.
Right.
Yeah, I remember. I'm gonna go down to Albany today, and I live like 8-9 miles from Albany. I get on the 10 speed, and
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun getting there, but then you have to figure, wow, I got to drive 9 miles back.
And
I went back another way, which made the uphill very short.
Oh, you went uphill both ways.
I went downhill one way, and I went pretty much flat the whole time, and then walking up this very steep hill. And then once I got to the top of the hill, I was 10 minutes from home.
Nice.
So, yeah, it's what a time. And anyway, so we are here back with Jay talking about the good old Kettle Moraine. And Jay, I didn't end up putting the videos up because I'm sure people can go over and see what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to get any misnomers about saying there may have been a Bigfoot in there. Even if there was, it would be so minute that we couldn't really call it a Bigfoot.
Right.
And you know, and I will say this to Jay's credit. Jay texted me today and said, you know, I've been looking at that thing for hours and hours, trying to see what I saw, and I can't see it.
There's too much.
Yeah.
And like you said, even if it was in the back, even if there would have been movement, it wouldn't have done it, you know.
Yeah, I said even if it was there, everybody would throw us out if we tried to say that was a Bigfoot.
Yeah, I wanted to address Mick right off the bat because he did have that question, and the thing is, I like what you wrote back in the comments. If he was, you wouldn't be on the show.
Right.
No, I'm definitely not doing this, and I've always said this too. Even with my first documentary, I felt like I wanted to tell my story of what was going on in the kettle. And I said it was never done for fame, fortune, which we know that never happens, or you know, having thousands of likes and social media status and everything. I wasn't about that. I wanted to share my story of what's going on because people would say, all right, Jay's the Bigfoot guy. Where do you go? And I'm like, I go to the Kettle Moraine. That's it. I don't. You know, don't you go anywhere else to focus on this? And I'm like, I don't have my answers here. And this is available to me. This is something I've been studying for the past 10 years. And I don't have any of the answers. How many times in either one of my documentaries have I actually say definitively that was a Bigfoot? You know, some of them were corner sightings, you know, out of my eye, or over this past January, seeing that cloaked image step behind a tree. I've never seen anything like face to face. I always say Harry and the Hendersons or the Patterson Gimlin film. And I've never seen anything like that, you know, up until a week ago. And even within this week, you know, I can kind of set the tone a little bit. Like you said, you can go to my Facebook page and kind of see the background and the surroundings of everything. But, you know, while we were out there, it literally just snowed so hard that day. You know, this is the weird Midwestern springs where we just, you know, have tornadoes 2 nights ago. And then, you know, last week, you know, snow showers. And it was like a winter wonderland out there. It literally was, you know, these 4-story tall, you know, these type of pines. And they were like kind of like where you could see just the brown of all the trees everywhere and all the snow hitting it. So it was really kind of a white forest floor, white trees. And, you know, so, you know, I'm just kind of looking out there. My friend Bryn took me out to an area right near where I research, not too far, but not my research area. And we were just encountering, or she has seen a bunch of what looked like tree formation, I mean, big ones though, where I'm always like, okay, was this done by, you know, by nature? That's the first thing I'm going to kind of look at. Or some of them just look like they were placed there, placed by what, you know, that again, that remains to be seen with that. But it was fascinating out there. And again, sorry that I'm kind of getting off what I was telling about Mick about the, you know, whether to buy into it. Is Jay out for money or not? Absolutely not. There's no way I make money. I'm ready to set up a GoFundMe to help support my week-to-week habit here, you know, living. So I'm definitely not in it for that. But you know, like I said, it's rough because when I was leaving. We were out there for about 3 hours. And I'll admittedly, for the past 7 years now, is I'll do a hand signal when I'm out there. And I mean, at first it started out as a joke because I didn't have anything in my hands. Everything was like on me now. I'm like, nothing in my hands. See, now I do that all the time. Every time I go out there, freak some people out. Like, what are you doing? You know, because you can hear raccoons laughing at me when I do this. But on the way out of
look at that guy over there.
Exactly. And sometimes you'll hear that. And this time on the way out, I literally was saying goodbye to the woods. And I'll do that. I'll stop and kind of give my respect. And I always say I'm not a Buddhist monk or anything like that, but I do try to, break down the science, the technology on me, and just kind of, be Jay in nature out there. And as I'm saying my goodbye, this is where the hard thing is. I know a lot of people now put on the bill of their hats, their cameras for wherever they're looking. Well, my body cam is, right on my bag. That's right up here. And of course, my body is slightly turned left and my head is slightly turned right. And it's so weird because it happened so quick. People ask me, how long did you see it? What did I see? And what this was almost, it's so hard to put in exact context, except that I tell people, go up and do a Google image search on a Bigfoot silhouette, and you just get those black images. But this was behind three of the trees off to my left, and it just appeared from nowhere. So I had a good sight of the forest as I'm looking at it. All of a sudden, it just appeared, and it's weird because it looked like a Bigfoot, or I should say, it looked like I saw head, shoulders, and it was long, but it reminded me of that. Okay, that's the part where, can we misidentify something? But whatever it was, looked like it was on, somebody put it on skis, and it just, without motion, without moving, just kind of cut through those three trees, get to more of an opening to where I saw more of it, and then it was blocked off by other trees. But besides that tree, it should have continued. And I think that's where in my body cam where I gasp. And I always say, I don't gasp. I don't go out there and, I just don't. And I never have in the
But
past.
you did there. You did.
I did. And it actually was kind of embarrassing to hear it because I kind of sounded, I just wanted to say I didn't.
Oh my God, double rainbow. Or double rainbow guy.
Right. Well, but I'm just saying it was weird for me to hear that, but it was special when it happened because it's out of anything that I've ever seen out of these 10 years, there's people been doing it. How long, Steve? 20, 25, 50, such a long time. And when I'm going out there, maybe I'm looking for some trace evidence, but I'm never expecting to see it, if that makes any sense. When I go out there, I'm not going to be like, this is the day I'm going to see it and I'm going to record it. And this, I put all that aside. I stopped trying to do the whole proving Bigfoot exists for the world probably in 2015-ish, where I'm like, this is ridiculous. No one's going to believe it anyway. Steve, like you said, even if you had something in the background, you're going to have people that either believe it or they're not going to believe it. And in this case, it would have been too small. But what if it was so HD clear? That was a cutout or something that somebody put through there. Or if it was blurry, it was a blob squash. There's no way to prove it. But I wanted it for me. And I think that was the personal thing for it. And this is the first time in this amount of time that I've been doing this that I knew what it was. I don't know if that makes sense. And maybe it doesn't, because I don't go out there and I'm always like, today's the day that I'm going to see it. And then if it does happen, I don't know. I mean, this was the hard part because I felt I felt special seeing it, and I wanted to share it. And yet I got hammered a lot, obviously, from a lot of people. And a lot of people showed a lot of support and love because they know who I am. But in this case, I'm wondering, should I have even posted that and shared it? Because I feel like that kind of put me in a situation, kind of like Linda Godfrey, God rest her soul. She wrote all these books, did some research, and she has had a few sightings, but she never really came out publicly to say it, because she said, how convenient would that be for her to see it when that's what she's writing about? And I think in a way that's how I kind of felt with me too. I'm like, people know what I'm doing out there, but oh, how convenient. But man, it was something to see. And you start questioning yourself, because we're human, misidentification. You saw, Steve, what I sent you, that video
of the bear and
the bear, and the thing is, it's, everyone's trying to make sense of it, and that's true. And that's what I would try to look at too. But whatever it was behind these trees, jet black. And it was right around 90 yards, 95 yards is my best guesstimate on it. But it was big enough for me to see head, shoulders. So I thought, well, that must have been pretty big then, if it was at that distance. And it was a quick boom. There it was. And that's what I felt. I felt like that's what I saw, because it didn't continue. I didn't see it come into frame, my vision, and I didn't see it leave. And I forgot I had my body cam on, because Bryn was like, where? I pull her right in front of my body cam. And I'm like, if it was still out there, I just blocked up anything that was there. But that was it. It was kind of a weird week for me,
So Jay, let me have you back up just a little bit, because I know you've been on the show before.
Yeah.
And obviously I did my research on you. I know who you are, but I actually went into this completely like a blind react. What part of the country are you located in? Where is your research area? You said the Midwest.
Yeah, it's southeast Wisconsin.
Okay.
So we have the Kettle Moraine. There's 2 units, a southern unit, northern unit, 55,000 square acres of just woods, kettles, lakes, ponds, that go up about 100 miles through the state of Wisconsin. Honestly, if you looked at it, it's nowhere as impressive as if the Pacific, Northwest, or Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York. I mean, all these places are like, whoa, yeah, there's got to be something out there. But here in Wisconsin, you would think no. And honestly, before 2013, Bigfoot to me was riding a unicorn with Elvis and a rainbow. I mean, it didn't, I believed in the Loch Ness Monster, but I'm like, Bigfoot is the butt end of a joke. And even when I first started snooping around with this topic, I never called it that. I called it a wood beast. I wanted to stay away from the word Bigfoot, because it's in Wisconsin. So, it's not supposed to exist.
The big cheese.
The big cheese.
Yeah, it has that funky camembert smell. So what's the terrain like up there? Flat or hilly or?
Well, I always call them like inverted hills. Okay, so it's what the glaciers did as they retracted, making the Great Lake. So it left all these depressions. So you have, your flat, your flat ground, but then you have these depressions that can range anywhere from 300 feet, 200, and they're just kind of rolling. Okay, so the kettle's what the divots broken out in. The moraine would be in some parts of the woods. There's kind of an open meadow, then woods again. So that's where the Kettle Moraine gets its name. And so they're very deep and very.
If I may jump in here real quick, Chance, you are going to get your question answered. It's just I'm waiting for the opportune time. Proceed.
Okay, yeah. So it definitely has the areas for the food, the abundance of the wildlife, the abundance of water, perfect habitat. I would believe that could sustain something that big. Now you'd look at it again, like I said, Google Earth, you'd be like, that's it. We cover like a pinhead of some of those areas, and you are so turned around, lost. We actually I like go on the scanners on Facebook, and I follow them, and sometimes you'll get people lost out in the kettle. It happens. I mean, it's definitely that big.
So, Jay, we have a couple of good questions out there.
Yeah.
Chance asked, how deep was the snow that day?
The snow was probably around. It snowed really hard at that point, so it's probably like 8 inches, maybe 10 inches. So it was definitely deep, with everything that we were stepping on. In fact, I remember Bryn, who's been out there countless of times, invited me out. Thank you. Was saying it looks like it's just snow, but there is just rolling logs, everything, because we're not on a trail. We're off trail, and no matter where you stepped, you could have rolled an ankle on some of that stuff.
Now, Kaiju Ninja asked, did you try looking for prints after the sighting?
Yep, and that was the first thing that I got hammered on when I posted. And honestly, I would have asked that same question. I always want to chalk it up to a rookie mistake that I didn't, but it's so hard to explain because I forgot that I was wearing a body cam. I was kind of in the moment, and after seeing what I saw and knew what I saw, I did not go back and look for prints because I actually just casted my first print this past January, just 4 miles from there. And so to me, it wasn't a matter of trying to prove what I saw, if that makes any sense. If I went back there, thinking about it now, playing Monday morning quarterback or, Jay Dingaling, why didn't you go back there and check that out? Like I said, I didn't feel like I needed to. And that's my only answer. I forgot that I had a body cam on. You forget you have a mic on for audio. And
you were very emotional.
Yeah, that was
very apparent on the video. If anybody's seen it, go to Jay's Facebook page.
Yeah,
you were very emotional, like you were almost overtaken by the sighting. And even in listening to you tonight, I can sense you're still trying to parse it out in your mind, which is very common for a Bigfoot witness going through that bit of trauma per se.
Yeah.
To try to really, your mind is trying to come at odds with
it. And it is, because here's the thing. I posted this and I thought I'm going to share something special that happened to me. Okay. All right. So this is going to be the weeping part of Jay. It was very emotional for me. And every time I want to talk about it, I'm trying to hold back some things, but it was very special to me. And like I said, as soon as I started getting where the footprints, or better yet, okay, I got a lot of people that just slammed me, but a lot of love too. Like, Jay, you're welcome to the club. You're now a knower. You've seen it. You're now a knower. And that kind of, I don't want to say it bothered me, because I'm like, oh, I already knew they were here. Why am I like this after seeing it? Knowing out of the past 10 years of, the rock throws, the red eyes, the vocals, the footprint, other people's that I brought out there, their sighting, like my daughter in January, or seeing things that move like blurs out there, or all these things already made me a knower. I felt like it did. And all of a sudden now I'm like, well, crap, they're right. I think after seeing this, it really made me feel like it was different all of a sudden, if that makes any sense. It just felt different.
I have some thoughts on that. I just want to say, Jeff over at Pine Island Research, hey, Jeff, what's going on? Said, operating under duress, regardless of prepared training and preparation, is easier done from behind a keyboard than out in the woods. And thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I totally get it, because I had my sighting. I'm not trying to steal your thunder, but I had my sighting in 2012, and my HD camera was in my pocket the whole time. And it never registered. we were looking around, like you said, we were looking around for a little bit of evidence, and we found some things, but we documented none of it because that's not where our mindset was at the time. So I totally get what you're saying. The question I had though is, you said you put Bren in front of you. Did Bren get to see what you saw?
No, because it was. I wish this could have been a sighting that was 10 seconds or 50, whatever, and just watch this. But it happened so quick. I always say, like deer hunting. I deer hunted in a different life here. Up in a tree stand, you're up there all day, nothing's going to happen. You're almost ready to come down, and there's a damn deer. You didn't even hear it creep up on you. It reminded me of that. It was like it happened, and you can even hear when I'm trying to say I saw it. I'm trying to process listening to that again. My body cam of my gasp, and then a good 15 seconds, 10 seconds in between that I saw it. It was like, that's how convinced I was. So at that point, Jeff, it was already gone. And Bryn was just kind of off to my right and just like trying to look in my direction. Okay. First thing I usually do is I'll put somebody in front of me and then point over their shoulder and trying to get them in my eyesight. And so I pulled her right in front of me, of course, covered up the whole body cam. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to say it was a rookie mistake, but like you were saying about your HD in 2012.
That's not where your mindset is.
No, I totally forgot that I had my body cam on. It didn't register.
Because like you were saying, you didn't go out there to go see Bigfoot that day.
No, never.
You were out just looking for evidence. It's the same with mine. We weren't out specifically looking. We were just testing two rookies in the field to see if they would be, complainers when we got them into a nice big swamp.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, when it was none of our attention, there it is. It was why all of our cameras stayed in our pockets, and we collected no evidence, no hair samples, nothing.
And generally, you hear those people say that.
Let me just answer this quick question for Don Fuller. He asked when were glowing red eyes brought to the subject? Was it Skeene Valley golf club course owner? No, it's been reported pretty universally from East Coast to West Coast. I don't know who first reported it, but even the sighting in Skeene Valley, even though it garnered some local attention, it never really reached national attention. So not until like many years later. So
yeah, in 2016, I saw them again, Jeff. Just like you were saying, we're walking back in the dark, and as with two other researchers, and we're walking back, and all of a sudden these two sets of red eyes, and all I can say is they were like laser red, but not emanating a laser. They seemed that kind of bright red, and I didn't see what was behind the darkness, but the body's going to matrix. They look like eyes, and all of a sudden another set would pop up, and another set, and we're watching these. And I had my thermal, didn't pick that up. Had night vision, didn't pick that up. We're just watching them, but the other thing I caught was the audio of holy crap. So I don't know. And then people are like, well, it was Dogman, it was a Bigfoot. And I'm like, I'll even tell you to this day, I don't know what was behind that, because there was no moonlight. There was no bright light. In fact, I believe it was, if I remember correctly, it was more overcast than anything. So there was no light casting on what I would think would be an animal, having a reflection from the ambient sky to give it that red glow. So I don't know. They were just like, it was very bizarre.
So what were the weather conditions last week when you saw it? What was it, overcast or was it clear?
It was overcast. It just got done snowing like a banshee. In fact, I felt like I was in a snow globe driving up to the Kettle to Bryn. But we had this planned. I wasn't gonna miss out on it. And it just got above freezing, because I remember looking at all the snow on the side of the trees sometimes falling off in clumps. And I'm thinking, all right, it's got to be freezing or a little above. And it was right around 32, 33 degrees with an overcast. So a real nice day.
So let me break this down a little bit.
Yeah.
You were questioning yourself, why is this hitting you harder, knowing what had happened a couple of months ago? That's because I think a couple of months ago, what you had seen still gave you some doubt, because it wasn't conventional, be it the angle of reflection or refraction, the way you're saying it, that it's almost a deep-based validation in your own belief that this animal's flesh and blood. And now that you saw one that appeared flesh and blood to you, now it hit you really hard. And I think the last sighting versus this one was so more definitive that you actually got your eyes on it better this time. Because when you talk to your daughter about the last sighting, even though she said it kind of floated, one could also say it may have just glided, like the Patterson creature kind of just doesn't bob up and down. It just kind of, right? She believed that it looked more like a gorilla than anything else.
Right.
Which is a solid, you know, you two guys, you and what was his name again? Brian?
Ben.
I know it was a B.
Yeah.
Ben, you guys kind of caught it like super fast.
Right.
And your mind interpreted it the way it did.
Right.
This time you've seen it.
Right.
Boom. Dead on.
And
that's why you're having the emotions. That's why you're having the confusion in your own mind. I think that's a big part of it.
I definitely agree, because when I gasp, it was like me processing what I just saw, because it was kind of like a, you know, as I'm seeing it, I had to have gasped at least right when it registered, and then everything just popped in of, you know, being able to put out what I just saw. And like you said, it was jet black. People asked me, well, did you see hair? No. Fur? No. It definitely was, it was more vertical, upright than it would have been quadruped, long, wide. And like I said, when it hit the more of the opening is where I could see head, shoulders, and maybe its arm was near its body. It wasn't out, you know, like an image, and it was down, but it looked like the leg almost went right down to the ground. So it was like on the base of the floor. But again, it was weird because it was like somebody put this thing on skis and just pushed it. I was like, wait, what? And it never continued. That, I think that's the problem I had, is it didn't continue. Okay, again, if it let's say it was a bear, and he's going to be just trudging way out there, and he's going to keep going in that same direction, wouldn't I still see him go to the right? My question is, where did it go? Where did it come from? Where did it go? That was mine. I still kind of have those type of issues with it, because I'm like, oh wait, where did it go? I mean, literally.
Did you go to the sighting location after it registered? So you didn't go to look for tracks or anything? And I'm not dogging you for that.
Oh no, I know. Believe me, it was one of those where I was like, nope, saw it. I was good. All right, see you. Drop. You know, I don't want to say drop my mic. Just kind of like, see you guys, that type of thing. It was more, we stood out there for a good 15 minutes after that, just talking about it and keeping an eye on the woods. But no, I never did walk back there, because I think what I saw was my it was my validation for me more than anything. I mean, Bryn was right there, but she wasn't looking that direction. Nobody else was there. There was gonna be no way to prove it at all. So it was more, I think I just kind of accepted it. It was like all these 10 years of the trace evidence of everything I've ever encountered kind of came up to a head. And it was like, okay, I knew you were, okay, now you're there.
So I've got a question up here, Jay. Obviously, have you been back to the area since, or after seeing one? Are you afraid to go back there, or are you more interested to go back and try to see it again?
A lot of people asked me right away, did you go back the next day? Did you? Which I couldn't at that point, but I was going to go out this weekend, but I did not. And it has nothing to do with being afraid. I don't feel afraid. I feel, honestly, I want to do more of my due diligence, you know, working during the week and, you know, kids and everything like that. I finally was coming up to a weekend where I had nothing planned, and all I wanted to do was go through my body cam footage, even before the sighting, just to see, you know, maybe I'm missing something. I'm going frame by frame, but there's so much to see. That's what I wanted to do, is kind of take the weekend off, kind of regroup. It was kind of a tough week. People started asking me about it again by Wednesday or Thursday, and at that point I didn't want to talk about it anymore. In fact, Steve, you said you want to do the show next week. This was almost a week ago. Yeah, a week ago. And I'm like, yeah, sure, I'd like, you know, but now all of a sudden I'm like, oh man, it's like I feel like I don't know if I want to talk about it anymore. And I don't know why, because I guess this is where I'm trying to get to at this level. But at the same time, it's like, you know, you get the things of what I would have done. Like right now, being behind the keyboard or sitting at home, I'd be like, oh, why didn't I go out there and, you know, scientifically prove the prints and everything? But then would that have taken away from what I saw? And like you said, Steve, if it was flesh and blood and I didn't find any prints, how would that make sense? You know, when then you start driving yourself crazy. But it was definitely on the inner part of the woods. So it was like, I know what I saw.
So my, I guess what I'm thinking is, you know, you felt kind of like you were being interrogated over the last, you know, since your sighting. Have you felt that way at all?
I don't even know if it's interrogation. It's more people being interested. And, you know, now I'd love to tell them a big Patterson Gimlin sighting, that it's so exciting, but it's, you know, it was super quick and this is what it was. And then people kind of do the head bob, you know, and okay. You know, it's like you're trying to convince people, you know, you can't, you know, I was actually, honestly, my wife was the first one I told. I called her on the way home. And I'm like, I know you're not going to believe this, but I saw one. And she's like, what? You know, and then she was asking the same questions and everything. And, you know, she was excited for me, very supportive, because she knows I'm not going to come back and just throw this on, you know. And I guess that's why I kind of want to address Mick's question way in the beginning was, is this all for money? Definitely
I knew you before finding Jay.
Yeah, you did.
I knew before you even started shooting for that.
Yes, you did. Yep.
And,
in fact, I was sitting at one of your lectures in Pennsylvania. Yep. And that was really fun because you got interrupted somehow, and I got to see I got to see how you operated. But that's what I wanted to come down and see, because I was doing it for what, you know, 4 years before seeing you. But, you know, and then you hear everybody else. I've been doing this for 20 years, 25 years, 30 years. And it's like, wow, I've been doing it for a couple of years, and I'm enjoying doing it. I wanted to learn more about it, but I think that was it. It was my persistence to keep going back to the same area and never giving up on that. And it wasn't always going to be the night that I saw Bigfoot. It was more looking for the trace evidence, or just having a fun time with friends or family and being out in the woods. And, you know, that's what I'm all about.
There is an air of excitement to it all, isn't there?
Well, yeah.
And just so people know, people have heard me tell my story in about, you know, both my sightings and my second sighting, which I kind of discounted until a certain person who kept his pillow and blanket in his Jeep came out the next morning and said something put a birch log behind my Jeep. That was that gentleman right down underneath me.
Oh, good times.
That was a great time. That was a very interesting time too.
Yep, absolutely. We got gifted a birch log,
and we have been collecting birch all day. So, what was your takeaway from that, Jeff?
You know what, and I can never explain that one, because we were collecting birch on the side of the road all day, and that was the one log that I picked up, looked at, and I couldn't break this little tiny branch off of it because it was still too fresh. And so I just threw it down in frustration, and lo and behold, that's the log that's sitting behind my Jeep the very next morning.
Wow.
And, you know, my takeaway from that is It was watching us the whole time.
It was watching us the entire time because that was a really hot area that you were in at that time, and I believe it. And we did all kind of stuff until the rains moved in. That I think we could have had a lot better activity had it not been so miserable the whole week. But Jay, I want to tell you, you know, because
go ahead, Jeff. I'm gonna go grab some video real quick.
Okay, Jay, I'm telling you, when I had my sighting, luckily for me, I had my cousin with me. He was one of the rookies we were trying to test in the field, and he actually saw what I saw. Otherwise, I would have talked myself out of this the same day. But here are 4 of us in the woods. 2 of us are seasoned Bigfoot researchers, and 2 of us just saw a Bigfoot. 4 of us smelled a Bigfoot, and here 15, maybe 20 minutes later, we all just look at it and say, okay, well, let's go home. And not at one time did we ever say that we didn't have that gasp moment like you had. So I'm kind of jealous about that because it never registered to us until we were literally almost 30 minutes away on the way home, where I looked at my cousin and said, did we just see a Bigfoot today? And I called my wife, who's, you know, that's the first thing I did.
Yeah.
But I totally get it. You know, I don't know what you saw, and I'm not saying that it's an absolute, but from what you're saying, it's so identical to what had happened to me. It's not the first thing on your mind is to go over there and start picking out hairs or hairspraying snow to make a cast print or anything like that.
Right.
It's like, well, there, look at there. How about that? And it's like, I completely understand what you're talking about when you say it just didn't register, or now you're kind of waning through. Should I be talking about this? Should I be putting myself up on this pedestal for this?
Yeah, correct. That you actually hit the nail on the head there. Is I kind of felt that way after this week. Like I said, you know, there are people that follow what I do, and that's great, and I love that. It's I'm not looking at it to be, I guess, to be at a certain status, to be bigger, better, this, that. You know what? There are researchers out there that do things their way. I do things my way. In fact, I never say I'm a Bigfooter. I never say I'm a Squatcher. I'm a truth seeker when I go out there, and I enjoy nature. That's it. Oh, I heard something. I think Steve's going to be queuing up my.
Yeah, he's playing.
Okay, so we have the video. I'm going to add that to the stream right now and take a listen.
Okay.
I mean, if we can, I don't know what's going to happen, you guys, but.
Saw it.
What'd you see?
A black figure right between the trees. Ooh. Run! Oh my God! I hope I'm not facing that way.
Hi.
Oh my God! It was dark.
Oh wow! Where? Like that? Right through there?
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna put you right in my line of sight.
Right in front of the body cam.
You can see the cornfield through these. There's a sliver of trees way back there.
Yeah.
I saw it move, and it was perfect height, and it went from left, I blacked out that light, and then went to the right, and then boom, it was gone.
That is some fine stitching right there on that coat.
Oh my God, I saw it.
Oh, you guys. Love you.
That was quite a reaction. I mean, if you think about it, we can roll that back. I mean, the reaction there is, whoops. Sorry about that. My computer's doing some weird things. There we go.
Out at different times so he can see it in different. I mean, if we can, I don't know what's going to happen, you guys, but.
Saw it.
What'd you see?
A black.
Okay, so Jay,
yeah,
I count about 5 seconds. Completely went the time you gasped until you said I saw it.
Right, it was that processing.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that's what I mean is I've been that way even with like gifts or something for birthdays, Christmas, Father's Day presents or whatever. It's like, you know, when you first get it, it's like, oh, that's cool. My processing is later is, wow, that was really thoughtful. That's how I process in a long time. This one was kind of a quicker one to where it was like it registered. It was more of a, the shock, and then like you said, the 5 seconds of me going, I saw it because it was like everything was just filtering in so quick, putting together what I saw. And
Chance said, I can't see much of anything. No, you won't, Chance. That's the point. The problem is here, it's 90 yards away. That's almost the length of a football field. There is dense brush in between the camera and the subject. Even in a lightly brushed area, you would have a hard time seeing it. So
right. But like I said, is because people will say,
right,
like how far that was away. But if it was that far away and I made out a head, shoulder, like I said, didn't look like so much of an arm because it might have been pressed against it, and then it going to the forest floor. To me, it was like looking at something that was, like an inch or two. Like, if I could go like this and start identifying it, that's how big it seemed at about 90 yards.
And the purpose of playing that clip was to hear the natural reaction of what you had observed.
Right.
You hear. Yep. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jeff.
No, whichever other YouTube video you see is they show the video, this figure in the distance, and all of a sudden they start shaking the camera and running and cussing. But yours, you stayed right there. You let out a gasp. So it seems more valid in my point. How can it be a hoax video, or how can it be made up when you didn't do all the typical hoax things that Steve is so good at?
Right. Well, that's it. That's what's funny about it is I'm kind of a jittery guy, not jittery, but I'm always moving around when I'm out in the woods or whatever. But it's funny because when you watch where the cam should have faced, and then when it comes back here, then when I see it, all of a sudden you see my body cam just like be 100% still. It was like I wasn't moving anymore.
I think people are missing the reason for playing that was for the audio portion, not necessarily the video portion. The reason why I am very, how should I say it, reluctant to play it again is because I don't want to spend the next week of having some people going, oh, look, there it is, or there it is, or there it is, or there it is. When we have looked at this, I spent a few hours on it. Jay spent the whole week on it, and there's nothing really there to see.
Nothing.
It's too far away.
Even the best body cam is very limited in scope, where a lot of people don't understand that our periphery is so much wider than what a body cam is going to pick up. And even at that distance, even if you got it on camera, it would, on the body cam itself, even though to your eyes it would have been crystal clear, the body cam, it probably would have been.
Well, unfortunately, Chance, I can't show it full screen due to size limitations on StreamYard. I can only show full screen videos I can upload to the system. Unfortunately, the size of this video is too big to upload. I have to stream it, and the only way to stream it is the way you're seeing.
Jay, do you have this video on your channel, on your Facebook page?
Yeah, I do. I have my personal Jay Bachochin Facebook page, but then I have Jay Bachochin Hunting the Truth. You can look that up and just follow it from there, and I keep all those videos on there. So
and you can watch it full screen there.
Full screen. Yep.
Okay.
And of course I've got the raw file, which is going to be the clearest, because when you upload it compresses, it'll show you the best you can. But again, the body cams that say that they're 1080 are still 1080 at 2997 frames per, to where it's not as crystal clear as an iPhone, or you know what I mean, or shooting at 60 frames or 120 frames. But it was still there. Like I said, that's what I was really kind of looking for. Maybe I was thinking when I was going through all that footage on my body cam.
I'll play it one more time for the gaggle. Everybody wants to see it again, so I'll see if I can.
Okay.
Figure right between the.
Back out at different times so he can see it in different. I mean, if we can, I don't know what's going to happen, you guys, but.
Saw it.
What'd you see?
A black figure right between the trees. Ooh. Run. Oh my God! I hope I'm not facing that way.
Hi.
Oh my God. It was dark.
Oh no, where? Like that, right through there?
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna put you right in my line of sight.
The bridge shot.
You can see the cornfield.
I see you cringe every time we get to this part of the video, Jay.
Move, and it was perfect height, and it went from left. It blacked out that light, and then went to the right, and then boom, it was gone. Oh my God, I saw it.
Oh, you guys, love you.
There's no ands, ifs, or buts about that because there's no way. There is no way. It was so cool because it was moving right through the trees, and it was low, and I could see its head.
Dark, right?
It was dark. It was dark. I saw its head, and almost like the shoulder, just the way it moved.
Dang, dude, that is so cool.
I'm so excited because
I've seen him out here too, and I didn't want to be all like, "Oh, Jay, I've seen him out here."
No, because
but you just did.
And the reason why I'm going to say it because I've been observing all the snowfall, all the movements of all the snow.
Yeah, you were saying that over there, and you're like,
but this was dark, and it was not. It was.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
It was not quadruped. And here's the weird thing.
No, I've seen the shoulders. I've seen them.
But I don't. Here's the thing: is it didn't exit? Yes, it didn't exit. Like I saw it go one tree, tree, and then nowhere else, and it didn't block anything else up. Where did it go?
Where did it go?
Okay, I don't know if I have to spell this out. Chance, there is nothing to see. We're not saying there's a Bigfoot in the video. This was for audio and capture of the experience as, you know, the best the camera could capture. The camera could not capture what was on the what Jay had seen. So
right. And again, Steve, you know, number one, thanks for giving me a platform.
And no, Raptor, you probably wouldn't see anything run at that point, even if I could stand out there and run in that body camera, given the remember this thing is 90 yards out. Our eyes can see well beyond in the focal range of a camera, regardless of how good a camera. Remember, it's not about the 4K or 1080 or 720. What it's about is the focal length of the camera. And unless you got one of those nice big telescopic lenses, you're not going to see it. Right. So, I mean, this thing is good for maybe about 50 feet. And beyond that, things start to lose their definition. And if you start throwing brush into the mix, you're not going to see it. Right. So,
and honestly, that's what I was saying before was when I was putting this stuff up, and you could see just from some of the comments here, which are legitimate, and I totally understand that. It's basically when you're on something like this.
Dissolving into the environment, you mean like a deer would when it crosses the road. Jay?
Oh, what are you saying? Seeing it dissolved into
because
yeah. I'm sorry. I'm sitting there kind of reading it and then looking at your reaction and seeing my glove on the main screen. Basically, what it was is like Steve was saying, you have such a wide range being able to see out there, and because this thing was so dark in the way it was, had such a contrast against those trees that I didn't see it coming up to where my line of view was seeing it. And then as it hit the main clearing spot for that split second where I got the best look at it, then it hit some other brush, and then there was some more opening clearing way more to my right, but it never continued. And that's the part where I was just really confused because, Steve, like you were saying, if there it is, flesh and blood, now I'm seeing that, but where did it go? Did it just stop, you know, because it knew? And again, I'm just assuming, I have no idea, but it was like, what did it do? Like climb up a huge tree, or I was thinking, did it get behind some brush and then start going away from me, so it never continued? I don't know.
That's where Don's losing it here. Yeah, Don, this happened last week, not back in January. This happened last week. He didn't go to the same area he was in with. This is a completely different area.
But 4 miles.
Yep. Taken in by his friend Bryn, who had some experiences over in that particular area.
Yeah. And again, so that's what that would be, is it was physically there. Where did it go? And I guess that's the problem I always have with it, is the only thing I could do is theorize.
Jay, what kind of body cam were you wearing?
It's a Bob Love.
Okay.
Yep. It's, one of the police, it goes infrared. It's got the lights on it, but I just use it for infrared or during the day. That's it. Says it's 1080. It does its job. It was definitely affordable because equipment can get really expensive. And so basically I was just putting that on to kind of record my journeys as I go out. If I saw something, great.
And Bar Santi says, I think it had heard you and stopped.
Yeah.
Okay, John. Yep, that kind of figured.
Yeah, I don't know. I just it's so hard to put into words when it says that. What does it say?
Another good question. Jay, did you have the feeling of being watched before? Also, you think those structures you saw were done by the creature?
I do. And here's the weird thing.
Okay, hold on. Was that to the first part or the second part of the question? The first part was, did you feel like you were being watched?
Yes.
Okay, and do you think
I do.
Structures were? You do.
I do. And it's always been kind of up in the air to me a little bit with seeing them. You can watch, you're finding Bigfoot, the different things they find out there, Expedition Bigfoot, all these out in the. Now I've never seen them, and I'm not out in New York, Pennsylvania, or I'm finding small weird wood stuff that could be done by anybody, really, right? You think if it's not done naturally, somebody would have had to put it there. So it's the small things that I saw in my research areas really could have been done either by a person or whatever. I have no idea. Where I was at, these things were these trees that are cut off, not sawed off, but broke off both ends, lifted 24 feet in the air, and just a bunch of them just trying to weigh each other. And I keep thinking that wasn't a natural fall. They were placed that way. So then I go to the next logical thing would be people. Why are people lifting these? That part I just have a tough time with. So, and again, I've always been a little bit on.
Okay, let's get this straight, gang. Okay. This is not speculation. He saw it with his own eyes. Okay, this isn't something that he picked up. He saw it with his own eyes. So if that's the case, then you're discrediting anybody anywhere that's ever seen a Bigfoot that has never filmed it, myself included.
Yeah.
I saw a
and you know what?
hummingbird
Prairie
today.
fire, non-evidence, I'm out. Well, guess what?
Bye.
You have direct testimony of somebody seeing one.
Yeah.
Whatever.
That's just it. You can't.
Right.
This here being on your platform, Steve, is a lot larger than me going through last week.
Right.
Let's just say it that way. People are either going to believe you because they believe, or they're not going to because seeing is believing. But I always say believe and you'll see. That's just how I kind of go about it. But this is what people want. They want the evidence. They want, in my case, and a lot of the ripping on, they want me to go out, film that evidence to show them that it's real. But that's not my job. My job has always been, if you're that interested in it, go out and discover for yourself, because this was my sighting and I can't take it back. And can I convince you besides my reaction? No, but I know what I saw.
Hey, good evening, Don Volt.
Yeah,
So
I was saying, Jay, I saw a hummingbird today at my hummingbird feeder. I cannot.
So let me just cover this. Anecdotal evidence outweighs physical evidence in this subject matter. Okay, so let's make a distinguished. Obviously, Nona Bass, you haven't seen my video. There is a difference between what Jay is describing and anecdotal evidence. Anecdotal evidence is where somebody says, I heard there were Bigfoot sightings in this area, or there have been tales of Bigfoot in this area. Direct evidence is what Jay is presenting because he had seen it with his own eyes. So in this case, this is not anecdotal evidence. This is actual eyewitness testimony, not anecdotal. Look up the definition of anecdotal evidence. It is not firsthand accounts. Firsthand accounts are direct testimony,
Now,
direct evidence.
Now I'll stick up a little bit for Nana Boss here because that's Marty. Yep. Hi Marty, thanks for watching. And I maybe it was just the terms of because we even talked last week, and I was actually on her show on Tuesday night, and we have big discussions about this too. Again, everybody's in that different journey, right? Of where they're at, and I do mean that as a journey. Steve, do you feel you're in the same spot you were when you first started versus where you are today with everything?
Absolutely not.
Right. We all moved. One of the times in January when I was on here and you said, yeah, Jay, you called them the forest people. Now I've gone from a Bigfoot primate, and I never said it was just an apparition ghost out there, but it's almost like, are they just a wild us out there that have been out there for a very long time? I mean, I don't know. But that's what I'm saying is everybody's at their own little journey when they come to this.
Right.
And that's just where I'm at. Who knows where I'll be in a year or two. I'll be like, I was actually on Bigfoot's flying saucer and we traveled around the moon a few times. I mean, I'm just saying, who knows? But I always try to keep that open mind. Steve, I was going to say, I loved your show last week. I really did. You put that really big heart into that of saying it's the truth. Because I have followed some of TT's, you know what I'm talking about, the Thunker.
Yeah, you can say the name.
Yeah. And the thing is, with that, it was more on how it was broken down. And I like the way you said it. You and Chris were talking about, is it for entertainment? Is it for, but if it's false and you can prove it, take it down, retract it. There's nothing wrong with saying I made a mistake.
Or Marty.
Oh yeah, Marty.
Yes, thank you, Marty.
Take it down. It is the same thing with me. You were saying, Jeff, and I'm sorry, before Steve asked that question, you were talking about a hummingbird. I heard you say something about a hummingbird.
Oh, I saw a hummingbird today. I have no physical evidence of that, but you believe me that I saw a hummingbird at my feeder because it's the time of year where they're supposed to be here. But I didn't get a video of it, so how can I prove it to anyone? Because and even if I had a video of it, there would be all these people that say, well, it's blurry, it's a blob hummingbird, it's this. Where's the physical evidence? Did you collect any feathers?
Right.
Did you get a sample of the hummingbird nectar or anything like that? There's always somebody that's just going to keep lambasting you for where is the other evidence. And then even if you do provide that, you have another sect over here that says, okay, did you cast it? Where are the dermal ridges? How come there are no dermal ridges? Why did you use plaster? Why didn't you use like this quick set? Or so you can please some of the people some of the time, but you can never please everybody ever.
So and that's great, because then that leads me to the question, what am I doing this for then? I mean, honestly, right now, if I just started out again and I didn't have any documentaries out or Facebook or anything, I don't know if I'd ever start one. I would just kind of maybe just talk with you guys, over the phone or something if when things came up. But there's enough people that kind of believe in you or support what you're doing, because a lot of people can't get out and do this for whatever reason.
Of course not, Daniel. There would be no word from Thinker Thunker, because if there was, he would give attention to the fine analysis that was done on the video that I've uploaded and our show last week.
Is that video still up on his? I didn't even check.
I have not.
Yeah. I'm just like, yeah, you nailed it right away. That's what I loved about it.
Negative. Steve, I think you better look at the definition of anecdotal. Anecdotal is a story without supporting evidence. So in a way, what you're saying is partially correct. So, however, when somebody says that they had observed this, that is direct evidence. It's not anecdotal evidence. Anecdotal evidence would be if, well, he made a ham and cheese sandwich Well, did you see him make the ham and cheese sandwich? Well, he was the only one in the kitchen at the time. That's anecdotal, aka circumstantial. Circumstantial and anecdotal evidence are very close, but that story would be anecdotal. Direct evidence is where somebody observes something, and that is direct evidence. There's no argument about that. There is no, so what Jay is saying is not anecdotal. Just because there is no physical evidence, okay? And as you said, what you said in your definition is no supporting evidence. Well, he saw a Bigfoot. The supporting evidence is his testimony. That is the way our system is built. Now, the science world, whatever, I'm talking about definitions, and people, especially in this community, have used words incorrectly over time. The term habituation used incorrectly all of the time. And this is another one. Anecdotal evidence is not somebody coming up saying they saw a Bigfoot. Anecdotal is somebody saying that they heard of a story of a Bigfoot, or they heard Bigfoot were prevalent in this area, or there's been a ton of sightings in this one area. If I, as a researcher, say there have been a lot of sightings in this one particular area, that is anecdotal evidence. If Jay comes forward and says, I saw a Bigfoot, that is direct evidence. There's a difference. Doesn't mean he has to have physical evidence. His eyewitness account is the evidence. So, and that is, jurisprudence.
And I saw Kaiju posted a comment about kind of parroting what we were talking about as far as even if you had gotten it on your body camera, the focal length of the body camera would have made it such a blob squatch that we would be arguing over that point.
Correct.
Because our eyes are so much.
Yes, Uncle Bones. No, Jay did not go back into that area. He already had explained his reasoning why, and I think he was just overcome with emotion, if I'm not correct, too. It was like, oh.
Yeah. I mean, again, giving me the platform now compared to what it was last week, it's because I guess I know how it sounds, and I know how people view it. But you know what? I owe that to you, Steve, because I've been on your show several times. Thank you for giving me that to be able to speak of. But it's to me, it's 100% true. And maybe I couldn't have said that in January when I was on there, even finding and casting that footprint and going through all that and seeing that trace evidence that is a footprint. I still couldn't say what I can say after last week. That's how I feel. And that's the mixed emotions that I had in me. I couldn't sleep. I was sleeping only 4 hours, maybe. I mean, a lot of people don't do that, but the first couple hours, the first couple days, I was just operating on no sleep, and I was not tired. But then I think it hit me on Wednesday, and I started sleeping again. But it was definitely something that I feel like it wasn't just something I misidentified like I have over the past 10 years, because those would be like, oh, it was, but it moved so quick. I'm pretty sure this one, I felt it as 100%. That's how I feel. No way to prove it, to people. But it's just good to talk about. This is actually some good therapy for me tonight. Actually, I needed it. Whew.
You're right. You're right. I'm actually pronouncing anecdotal wrong. Pardon my regional accent, because everybody calls it anecdotal around here for whatever reason. Just like we don't call it a creek, we call it a crick. And so my apologies. It's anecdotal evidence is based on. Yep.
I've heard anecdotal evidence that y'all drink pop by the crick up there. So.
Yeah. And goodness gracious, sometimes I have to restrain my New York City accent that was blessed upon to me by my parents, who both grew up in the Bronx. So I've fought long and hard to curtail some of that, but do not ask me to say the word BALL, especially if you put base in front of it, because you can definitely tell I am a New Yorker. So, you know,
So Jay,
baseball.
I saw a comment in there about Bryn being in the area. So she has had full sightings in the area.
Yeah, she told me after. I've been out there, not that same area, but a surrounding area, but close by. During COVID, it was during the summer of COVID.
Let me just jump in real quick. Thank you for correcting me on that. I do want to sound astute, even though there's a lot of times I sound more like a stooge. Anyway,
so Bryn has said a lot of different things. Here's the other weird thing that has happened in her area and versus mine, again 4 miles apart, is we could talk about this one later too, but it was really weird finding these feathers.
Now, I know the catch here is somebody's expecting an accent on that. Washington. No, it's Washington. I've always said Washington. People at upstate New York tend to say wash, and they tend to say, instead of theater, they call it theater. So, but no, I've always called it a theater, and I've always said Washington, and I've always said, okay, kids, wash up. So,
well, you could say that too, but is it pop or is it soda?
It's Coke.
It's soda.
What kind of Coke do you have here? Well, we have
Sprite. We Sprite, Mountain Dew.
Yep, I'll take a Coke Sprite. Going back to the Bryn's area is where she has found some very odd. I don't want to say odd, but I have found feathers. One single feather in the middle of a path. And I just, okay, you're out in the woods. It's uncontrolled and predators prey. I understand that. You're walking another 75 yards, 100 yards. There's another feather in the mid, just a single feather in the middle of the path. And the first time this happened was 2016.
Here we go. I've always called it nuclear.
Nuclear.
Well, there's people that call it nuclear.
Nuclear.
Oh, I'll give you one.
Want to hear this one? Caribbean Queen. Billy Ocean said it, 1985.
The sun doesn't go very well if you call it the Caribbean. But people call it the Caribbean. Some call it the Caribbean.
I've always said that there's a Caribbean queen in the Caribbean.
Right. Here we go. Caramel. But you go to New York and it's Carmel. Yeah, give me the caramel ice cream cone, please. Yeah, you want my New York accent to come out, I can get it to come out. Boston. Tomato. Oh, no. See, in New York, that's a tomato. In New York, that's a tomato. And it's a pillow. You put your head on the pillow at night, and everything is beautiful. Yeah, that was one word I had a problem as a child, was the word beautiful. It's beautiful because that's how people in New York say it. So that's pretty good. Well, you know what? I think after a little de-stressing, we can all
Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready?
Ready!
That allows me to put a smile on everybody's face.
Nice.
So I am so sorry. Can we can go back to the discussion, Jay? Sorry for me to rudely interrupt.
That was quite a tangent there, Pookie.
Kissimmee, Florida. But don't they call that Kissimmee, Florida?
It's Kissimmee.
Kissimmee, yes.
That one I know.
I call it Kissimmee, like Kissimmee mucho. Oh, no, that's Besame. Sorry.
Where were we?
I think I was talking about feathers.
Okay, you were at the second feather in the middle of the trail.
Well, we counted about 5 of them as we were going through it. And that was 2016, and I've caught or documented many cases that we're finding these. But Bryn's area, not the one I was just at last Saturday, but the adjoining one, also had feathers being left every. So it's just something I pick up as I go. If that, just trying to learn as I go out there.
What were the structures like that you found?
I have them all on my Facebook, but they were, some of them were couples, I'm going to say 2.5 stories where they're just kind of built like a cathedral. It's crazy. And again, you would say it wasn't natural. You could already rule out the natural, the way they would fall, the way things were put in. So they were placed there. And again, the big question is going to be, what, how was it placed? What type of feather? Turkey. And that's what they always look like. They never look like pheasant, but they look more like turkey feathers. And we have a lot of them out there. So definitely, a turkey is definitely prey. But like I said, it's weird because it's one feather, and it's not like a squirble of them. Okay, if you just found one
squirble,
like a squirble, I don't know, a bunch of them. I'm making up new words too as I go.
Well, I guess it's about say. I never used the word that's anecdotal, so somebody called it anecdotal. But I never use the word. I usually use the word circumstantial. And lately, especially the critics, it's anecdotal. It's anecdotal. It's anecdotal. No, it's somebody telling their story is not anecdotal.
Right.
Somebody telling a story of a story is anecdotal.
Well, but bottom line with these feathers is that this is just what I've kind of noticed on my area that I've documented. People might just overlook it because you're out in the woods and why not have a feather? I get that. But I do document every time I do this. So she's had those type of weird areas. And actually, Jeff, you were asking, did Bryn ever see these out here? I think that's where that original question came from.
Yeah.
But she did. And the reason why I was telling you about the feathers is because she didn't want to tell me, give me any suggestive thought as we're out there. It's usually what I do when I take somebody out. I don't say, I see lights, you might hear rock throws or what. I leave that all up to the observer when they're going out with me. And so she wanted to do that too. So you can hear when I said it was dark and she was saying it was dark black, right? And that's exactly what it was. It was like jet black. I didn't really get to see any details of face or anything like that. Just the total silhouette, but it was pitch black. Dark, I call it jet black. And she said she has seen those out there too. But she didn't want to say anything. And I understand, just like you were, maybe she didn't want to Raina or steal my thunder with that, which wouldn't have been but she was excited because there is, you'd think there would be that validation of I'm not crazy. I've been seeing those too type of thing. And that's what it is. I never expected to see this, honestly. Never.
And you see the show, the chat always takes a wrong turn.
Circumstantial,
not circumcision.
Yeah, that was my unfortunate thing. When I was a kid, my parents took me to the circumcision cell. Half off.
Oh, come on! Where's your drum beat with that one?
Yeah. My Uncle Louis used to work for a circumcision doctor. Yeah, he didn't work for salary. He worked for tips.
Oh God. Oh. Yeah.
So Jay,
yeah.
What kind of people activity do you have in that area? So the structures, could they be like makeshift turkey blinds for turkey hunting, since there's obviously turkeys?
No, definitely not, because they were so big. And I've looked into the hunting situation for turkey or deer during the season. What's public land, what would be private land, what can be hunted on. So I'm very well aware of what they could be. These, there'd be no way to even remotely try to create.
I'm old as dirt, old spirit art.
It's knowing that I've hunted, and actually, brother-in-law of mine is a turkey hunter. Like I said, I was a deer hunter in a past life here, but you're looking at these, and there's one, and Jeff, you really got to look at some of these pictures, because one is actually balanced just in a little crevice, but the tree's like over. I mean, and it's a full tree sitting approximately 40 feet, balanced in the middle, broken on both ends, and just trying to figure out why and how you'd put that there. So you definitely not use that for a blind. You wouldn't use that for to get up there, either hide behind or get into a tree stand or something. It definitely wasn't used for that. Just some of these things just did not make sense. And I think that's what I kind of got when I was out there. Somebody asked, did I feel like I was being watched? Yes, but it's not like a scary being watched. I honestly, I felt like if somebody was filming me, no matter which way I was going, that's how I felt. I felt like I was in a show, which is weird, but that's that feeling that I had as I was out there, no matter where I went, whatever tree structure that I'd go underneath, kind of examine it, definitely document it with photos, video, everything I possibly could, hoping my body cam was on, that it would spot this or that, or and that's kind of what we did. So I do have all those pictures on my Facebook page right now, so definitely check them out.
All right, Steve. And the chat is just going on and on and on with, night ops wearing testicle gear instead of tactical gear.
And it's good. We need this. Everybody needs this type of break. I like that.
Yeah. Well, Jay, you know what? I think I'm going to kick the show at an hour and a half tonight.
Yeah.
We've beat this topic down pretty good.
Really? You don't want to go another hour and a half? Because, we could.
No.
Potato.
Tomato.
Tomato. But no, that's good. Steve, seriously, I seriously want to thank you again for having me on, going all the way back to the very top of the messages of what Nick said. No, I'm not doing it for fame, fortune, social media, anything like that. This was a great platform to actually talk about this, just like my cast. This is actually kind of therapeutic, and I learn a lot from what you say, because like I said, last week's episode, you really let it on the line of, this is what you do. It's the truth, period. And that makes me feel better being on here, because that's what you seek as well. So I want to thank you again for having me on.
And let me say, though, let me do a quick editorial on this whole thing. Did you see a Bigfoot?
I saw a Bigfoot.
Okay. I have to take your word for it at this point. Now, could it be a misidentification? That's possible. Could it have been a bear scratching his back and then just move? Could be. But I'm trusting you, as I have to give you the benefit of the doubt. I was not there. I was not looking through your eyes. There is no physical evidence to support your direct testimony.
Right.
So at that point, knowing you for as long as I've known you, I will take your word for it. Right. Yes. Were there mistakes made? Absolutely. It happens all the time. Happens to the best of us. So I'm not holding that against you. You could hear in that video, which was the point of me playing that video.
Right.
You were very emotional at the time that happened. And I get that. It can be a very emotional. If you watch the video of me, I wasn't doing much except getting people into place and letting them do their thing, because I was not in the mental state really at that point in time to go out and, okay, I got to do A, B, C, D, and E.
Right.
The only thing I could think of is, let me get this team out here real quick.
Right.
That's the only thing I could think of.
And that's exactly it. So don't.
And I too had a camera in my pocket. Right. So not even a thought.
No, exactly. And I'm glad, honestly, with Steve, Jeff, I'm glad to be a part of that club. The club of not thinking when you see. and you don't know why. Afterwards, like you said, you can beat yourself up of why didn't I? I would have if I didn't see it, right? Steve, I'd go down and look for tracks. I'd look for what I needed to. Why didn't I in this situation? Because it was that real to me. That's what it was. It, you know, everything flooded with the rock throws, the beady red eyes, the sticks, the prints, the multiple prints that I found, the one I casted. Everything just kind of came to that head after seeing it going, that was it. That was my reaction, all processed in that 5 seconds.
So I would say this too as well. Don't beat yourself up. Learn from it, move on from it, put it in the past.
Yep.
You were lucky enough to have an experience. Now it's up to your knowledge a little bit. You can walk a little more confidently.
Yeah.
And that's all I got to say for that. Jeff, you have some advice or any advice?
Yes. Well, I mean, purely based off of his emotional reaction afterwards, and I'm not just talking about the gas, but this entire week of how you've reacted to it, it has resonated so much with my own reaction from my sighting that I think you have a valid point. I didn't see what you saw with your eyes, and I didn't see anything on the video, so I can't sit there and say, yes, you saw a Bigfoot, but I believe you saw a Bigfoot simply based on how you've acted after. You're not singing it from the top of a mountain. You're not trying to go on to Good Morning America with your footage. You're not trying to do any of this. You're actually trying to step back from it. Like, should I be talking about this? To me, that resonated so well that's why I think your story is incredibly valid.
Well, thank you. I can't thank you enough, Jeff, for that, and Steve, because you know what? This is, and I say it's the brotherhood, Jeff. We haven't really got to know each other a lot, but
we will.
Definitely think we will. I think you're a great guy. I can feel the brotherhood in you, just like Steve since day one when he got interrupted at the presentation.
Hey, it's actually kind of funny. I met Jeff way back in God knows when at the Ohio Bigfoot Conference.
Yes, okay.
Right.
Wow.
And I say to myself, there's one other person that I met that reminds me a lot of Jeff, and that was Jay.
Oh, okay. See, look at that.
Very similar the way we met at Pennsylvania.
That's awesome.
So it's very, you guys are very similar in thought processes, I think.
Well, thank you.
Although Jeff is one funny MFer, part of it.
Reserved.
Yeah, you're reserved.
On here.
Jeff is reserved. But anyways,
well, I'm going to open up the invitation to you, Steve and Jeff. You guys come out here to Wisconsin. We'll go hike those trails. We'll go hike the Kettle.
You know, I've actually plugged in the hours for me to get from here to the Kettle Moraine.
Yeah,
it's like 12 hours.
Piece of cake.
Not that bad.
No,
not that bad considering it takes me about 14 to get to Bennett.
Oh, right. See, there you go.
Right.
And here we can show you the sights and sounds of Wisconsin. I'll give you the best cheese curds, the brats. We're gonna go hit the bar. We'll go get some beer, brats, and Bigfoot.
You're talking about language,
I gotta go see Don Volts in Maine too. I've been promising him. He's got some interesting stuff going on up his way, and Maine is like no man's land.
Ridiculously beautiful no man's land.
Yeah.
Once you go up there, you ain't coming back. I meant, in a good way. It's beautiful.
Not like West Virginia where you genuinely don't come back.
Right.
Well, you go to West Virginia, you don't come back the same man.
You find that special coffee down there. Yeah.
But
all right.
folks, I'll do the wrap up tonight since Bennett isn't here. I want to thank everybody for coming on tonight. Jay, thanks again for coming on tonight. Really appreciate it, and I'm glad we can help. And you always help us out. And I love your stories. I love that you have that ability to step back and take a look at the overall picture. So, thank you again, my friend. And Jeff, we got to do this more often, man. We got to get you on sometime just so you can babble.
Absolutely, brother.
And good talking to you, my bro. I haven't seen you in a while. We got to run into each other soon.
We keep saying it year after year, and it's been 10 years now. So
God, has it been that long?
It is. Well, wait a minute. No, it's been 11.
11.
It's been 11 years since we were in the Adirondacks.
That's got to change.
That's got to change.
Yeah. And if you're close to Alabama in June, I'm going to be at the Alabama Bigfoot Conference in June.
That is 3 hours from me.
Well, there you go. I'm going to be at the Alabama Bigfoot Conference. It's going to be me, the Ohio Night Stalkers, Adam Davies, and Stacy Brown, and a couple other folks.
I'm going to look into it then.
So, yeah, going to be a good time. So, but anyway, folks, again, first time visiting the channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. If you don't want to go through the YouTube system, you can always go to Squatchdetective.tv, which has a all nice compilation of our videos that we put out on the channel as they come out. And there's also a mailing list there too as well, that you can get notifications in your email for videos. And remember, if you like what you see, share them. Sharing is caring. And make sure on the way out to hit that thumbs up button. And we appreciate that. And back to you. Oh, I'm doing Chris's part. So anyway, I want to wish everybody a happy, safe week. Please stay healthy, stay safe. God bless. Keep on squatching. We'll catch you all next week here, 9 p.m. Eastern on Squatch-D TV. We'll catch you all next week.
Hey folks, you've been watching Squatch-D TV. Join us each week, Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern for the latest on the Bigfoot mystery. As always, we thank you for being our loyal viewers and encourage all to subscribe to our YouTube page at youtube.com/Steve Kulls. As always, have a great week. Stay safe. God bless. And keep on squatching.
Hold on, we're not off. I'm busy reading something. Good night, folks.